Hi, and welcome to Stressed, the podcast to develop your stress resilience. Being ambitious and successful while living a happy life is possible. Learn how you can better cope with stress in day-to-day situations by applying tools and techniques that work for you. My name is Julia Arndt, and I'm extremely grateful that you decided to check out my podcast today. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to Stressed, the podcast to develop your stress resilience. Thank you so much for checking out today's podcast episode, where I will talk about how to manage stress when speaking in public. Such an important and exciting subject. I am preparing for a keynote myself this week, and I've been going a little bit through all the feels of excitement, of course, and feeling super grateful for the opportunity, but at the same time feeling a little bit the pressure and the stress of delivering a wonderful speech and feeling a little bit anxious about it. And so I've been learning a lot of really cool things this week that I really wanted to share with you. And if you are preparing, or if you're thinking about giving an update during a team meeting, or if you are maybe preparing even a training or workshop or a talk and speech, this podcast today is for you, because I will talk about all of these wonderful subjects. So let's get started and dive in. The first thing that I want to talk about is obviously the preparation phase of a public talk or a speech, because that is the most important thing to reduce our stress levels a little bit, because we know what we are talking about, and it will give us the confidence to go into that speech or update with a little bit more relaxation. And how to do that is by really knowing your audience and knowing what the key message is that you want to deliver. And one of the things that I really learned and that I thought was so powerful is that it's not you who is the most important person during a talk or an update. It is the audience. It is the person that you want to make a change or understand something. So always think about the audience first. And for that, I literally wrote down a couple of things I can show you. So for the people that are listening and showing my podcast on video, here's my list of my audience. I really wrote it down really clearly and in detail. And it's important to know them. And then once you have obviously your audience, you know your audience, you know maybe even their main struggles, because obviously I will talk about stress management. So, I really want to have people shift their behavior and their thinking about stress management and how important it is. And that's why you do this exercise first. The second thing is that you are thinking about the story. Everybody always talks about the story. And for me, it's still something that I need to figure out and that I want to obviously create in order to make it really powerful. And there's obviously a lot of different ways of how you can achieve that. I am actually listening to a Speaking Like a Pro workshop myself at the moment from Jenny Blake, who is the author of the Pivot Method. And I will connect that into my show notes. So if you are interested, it's 25 different interviews and talks. She doesn't pay me for this. I've never met her. But I think she's doing an amazing job interviewing really powerful people. I've been watching a lot of TED Talks this week as well to get inspired. So whatever it is that you need to do in order to prepare and gain confidence in your story and in the message that you're trying to deliver, do that. The next thing, once you have prepared your speech, is obviously to practice. So important. And I have not done that in my whole career at Google, and I should have, because I think obviously the message would have been clearer sometimes. I would have been less nervous going into a meeting, and I would have just learned in a different way. So practicing is super important. Find maybe even a couple of friends or colleagues that you can present to. You can also start just recording yourself maybe on video, something that feels maybe a little bit weird at the beginning, but can be super powerful in order to see also how your body language is. And as you know, when you've listened to one of my other podcasts, body language makes 53% of our communication. So it's important of how you're standing, how you're speaking, what you're doing with your hands. So body language, practicing, talking and communicating, super important. And then the next step, and that was something that was a great reminder for myself as well, is that we are doing all this mental and mindful preparation to be ready for the day, ready for the presentation and talk, but we don't think too much about our body and about also getting our body prepared. So I saw a powerful interview with Nancy Duarte, and she said that before she's actually going into a talk or a presentation, she tries to also release already stress and tension through physical activity. So she said that she loves, for example, to do a really a really strong workout routine, goes to like a tiring yoga class, for example, lifting weights, whatever it is that, brings out a little bit of that stress could be helpful. If you don't have the time, which that was my first immediate thought, I was like, do I have time to like go into the gym for an hour and, shower and all these different things? I don't know if that makes me a little bit more stressed actually, is to make it obviously a little bit smaller. You could just go for a walk outside. That can be helpful. What I do is I take 10 deep breaths. I probably try and talk through the presentation one more time before I give it. And then what I do is I love music and I listen to a song that like really jams me up, and I listen to it super loudly in my headphone, and I move and shake a little bit to it, maybe dance if nobody sees me, but that's a really good way of kind of relax into it. And then the last thing that could be really helpful when you are giving that talk or presentation is to know the first 3 sentences that you want to say. You want to capture the attention of your audience from the beginning. They usually say we have such a short attention span nowadays that you really want to be really precise and powerful right from the start. So know the first 2 to 3 sentences that you want to say. It might be just an intro, obviously, about yourself, but it could be also something a little bit more powerful and a little bit more challenging or dramatic or whatever it is, in order to capture that attention from your audience. So once you've done your presentation, I hope it went well, then obviously don't forget that you also think about releasing your stress afterwards, because there's been probably a lot of accumulation around how you managed accumulation of stress hormones in your body. So think about also stress releasing after the presentation. Usually it's already a stress release in general when we are done with our speech. But think about going for a walk, be mindful, take a couple of deep breaths, do something fun and really recharge, to make sure that you are, that all of that stress that accumulated is released and is balanced out again. So I think that's all I wanted to deliver today. It's a pretty short podcast, but I thought, I wanted to really share this with you. I have my speech in 3 weeks in Chicago. I will let you know how it goes. I'm super excited about the opportunity to speak about stress management. And I will obviously apply all of the tools that I just mentioned. I will let you know how it goes and how well I'm actually keeping to the things that I'm preaching as well. And I wish you all the best. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I'm always more than happy to help you. If you have any speeches or talks this week, think of me. I wish you all the best. Hear you soon. Remember, stress management is a tool that everyone can learn. So, don't be too strict with yourself and have a little bit of fun in the process. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be extremely happy and grateful if you could leave me a comment and a 5-star rating. If you know someone who would benefit from the information I talked about today, please feel free to share it with them, no matter if it is your friends, your colleagues, and/or your family members. You will always find all links and a summary of the podcast in the show notes. It would be great if we could connect on Instagram or via email. You can find all details of how to find me in the show notes as well. In that way, you can also send me any questions that you might have. And as I mentioned, I also have a wonderful YouTube channel now where you can post comments and questions, so please reach out. I'm glad you're listening to this podcast. Thank you so much for your trust. With gratitude, Julia.